here to discuss Sage's Gold. So let's just ask the first question point blank. What is this book about?
Well, first of all, Angela, thank you for having me. It's nice to be on here to talk about Spinning Sage's Gold. But the book's about there are books about a lot of things, but right comes right down to it is can we understand getting from where we are, this hellish path that this world is on, that the US and the West in particular are on, and how do we get to a world where that is post-Western, that's post United States, without it being blown to bits because of the violence and the narcissism, the racism, and the other isms that the West and the US has inculcated into the rest of the world.
So, I mean, I know you had a lot of those thoughts about it, but like, how did you? I mean, it just sounds like a lot. So, how did you, so to speak, narrow that down to it's going through this main character named Olivia? So, I don't want to go into a lot of detail about that because I want you to hear from you. You discuss the book than me telling the audience about the book. So, given that heavy amount of information, how did you settle on having Olivia be your main character and being the voice for your thoughts?
Well, first of all, Angela, I was thinking about this being a collection of essays, right? When I first started working on this project about 10 years ago, I was working on something that was an academic project of looking at the nature of American racism and how a lot of the psychological aspects of what systemic racism does for white people, for our society at large, etc., comes down to narcissism. In other words, not caring about other people, not giving a shit about other people, and letting those other people die, become disabled, um, have a poor quality of life, have no chances for social mobility, and so on and so forth. But I realized as I started publishing these essays in 2016 and 2017, 2018, 2019, that I needed to do more for myself and for my readership than just tell them, wow, this 500-year path that the West and the United States have been on is going to lead to basically a lot of people dying in the future because of climate change, because of weapons of mass destruction, possibly nuclear war, because of pandemics, because of so many other things. And so what I then thought about was, well, how do we imagine our way to another world, a world that is post-Western, a world that doesn't have all these problems, that somehow survives and succeeds despite the problems that we have now, and maybe to some extent because of the necessity of having to solve some of these problems. So in the process of doing that, I decided to make it an allegory, one where I talk about the hard truths of our present and our immediate past, or past of the last 500 years. Think about what it would be like to live in the world and looking through the hourglass of what life used to be like when me and you and the 8 billion people on the planet are living through the shit that we're living through right now, right? And so that's how Olivia becomes this main character. She is the conduit between our present and our past, and what for her in the future is our past and the ancient past